Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week.
They say there's something unique about every person, but looking at some, you might involuntarily think that they got the whole unique package. We're all a little bit weird, some more than others. There are those, however, who go past casual weirdness and enter the ranks of especially bizarre. They are rare enough to be called 1 in a million, or maybe even a billion. Today, we are looking at 10 such rare humans that are 1 in a million. Number 1 is a real-life popaye, so stay tuned for that. Number 10, heaviest legs. Mandy Sellars, a 45-year-old Englishwoman who was diagnosed with a rare disease, which caused her legs to swell up and reach an extraordinarily large, morbid size, which prevents her from even walking. Her legs and feet alone are estimated to weigh as much as 210 pounds. Yes, you heard that right, 210 pounds! Unfortunately, the progressive growth of Mandy's legs led to an infection at one point, and a part of one of her legs had to be amputated. And that's when the miracle happened. After the amputation was done, her left leg started to grow at a very fast pace, and over the course of 2 years, her left leg had grown so much that it became too big for her prosthetic limb. Mandy then started to take some trial medications, which managed to regress the leg and shrink them up to as much as 150 pounds. Despite all her hardships and struggles, Mandy is determined to never lose hope no matter what happens next. What an incredibly brave woman. Number 9. Rubber Man. Gary Turner is an individual with a conditioned syndrome known as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Because of this syndrome, his skin has become loose and can stretch to a huge extent. This syndrome also made his skin very weak. Because of this, he is able to hold onto it and extend to a huge extent. This syndrome has resulted in him having the stretchiest skin in the entire universe, among all other human beings. This syndrome of his was discovered by his family when he was a toddler. Later on, they chose to make light of the situation and turned it into an interesting aspect of his personality. It was further entertained by his family when they made him perform various tricks in front of family members and friends with his skin. He is still famous for this physical aspect, and there are various photos of him in which he can be seen flaunting his skin and ability to stretch it in a slightly horrifying yet very astonishing manner. Number 8. Horn Queen. This woman had the most unusual feature, mostly seen in animals. Zhang Rufang first noticed the horn on the left side of her forehead developing in 2009, and it grew up to be around 6 centimeters long in just a year. The horn was actually a cutaneous horn, growths made by keratin, the same substance that makes up fingernails. Rhinos have the same thing on their heads, although their cutaneous horns are only a few millimeters in length. Some can extend a number of inches from the skin. Zhang said she turned down offers to have them removed because she's never had so many well wishes and visitors at her home in Lilu. Zhang became famous around the world for having a rhino horn. She died at the age of 94 in 2014. Number 7. Tree Man. Abul Bajandar suffers from a rare medical condition called epidermal dysplasia verruciformis, or the tree man syndrome. The disease causes Abdul to grow strange outgrowths on his limbs that look exactly like the branches of a tree. The condition is so rare that only 200 people from around the world have been diagnosed with it to date. Poor Abdul is suffering from this medical condition for 20 years since he was diagnosed with it when he was just 10 years old, and when he first noticed the branches growing out of his hands. He tried to cut them off, which didn't unfortunately work, and he landed up in the hospital. This condition of his hands doesn't let him perform even the simplest tasks of everyday life. For example, brushing his teeth or holding a spoon. He also had to quit his job as a rickshaw driver as he was unable to do it with such a condition of his hands. Abdul has undergone several surgeries and used many topical creams, but none of them worked for him. Let's just hope that one day one of these surgeries cures his condition so Abdul can enjoy his life peacefully and live a normal life. Number 6. Woman addicted to bleaching hair. Now, this might seem like a normal thing to do, like a lot of people, especially women, bleach their hair at least once in their lifetime. Some might have an obsession and do it more than once in life, but a lot of it can ruin the texture of your hair. Everyone knows that, but that knowledge didn't stop Caitlin, a Scottish woman and self-confessed bleach addict, who at one point was bleaching her hair 3 times a day. "I was like eat, bleach, rinse, repeat," she told reporters. The obsession was so bad that she couldn't stop it. She started doing it at home as she couldn't go to the stylist 3 times a day to bleach her hair. It was so severe that her hair was falling out. Thankfully, the team of stylists on the show she appeared on was able to salvage her hair. She has gotten better now, and we're hoping she didn't go back to her bleaching addiction ways after that. Number 5. Hairiest man on earth. Yu Jinwan is one of the most unbelievable men on the planet because of his body hair. He is said to be the hairiest man. Because of an uncommon condition, 96% of his body is covered with hair. This disorder of excess hair on his body was discovered by his elders when he was 2 years of age. Clearly, his whole life he was confronted numerous hardships because of his appearance. Presently, he's attempting to evacuate those hairs with the help of hair removal lasers and seek after his youth dream, which is to turn into an artist. Yu Jinwan wasn't very comfortable with his newfound fame. That too, as the hairiest man on the planet, and he chose various other fields to take attention off his hairy disorder. He went ahead in the music industry and made rock music. This idea to pursue music was also initiated because he wanted to divert people's minds away from the hair on his body to something else. Number 4. Papa Smurf. People love it when they spot a cartoon-like character in real life. Paul Carson was one of them. Also known as Papa Smurf, Paul was the bluest man on earth. He took a very comedic approach regarding his skin and often joked about it with children. Paul said he welcomed the nickname Papa Smurf, only when it's children calling him that. He was said to have the bluest skin on the entire planet. Paul used to suffer from dermatitis. He used a silver-colored substance called colloidal silver to treat dermatitis, which had a negative effect on his body and turned him blue. He also had a silver-colored beard and hair, which completed his look to Papa Smurf. After the issues with the silver compound, his entire skin turned blue. He actually didn't die from the condition he had. Paul Carson was 62 years old when he passed away in a Washington hospital where he was admitted after suffering a heart attack. He also had pneumonia and later suffered a severe stroke. Number 3. Dirtiest man ever. Amu Haji is very different from the previously mentioned people. He doesn't have any skin disorder, nor does he possess any skill. He just chose a very different lifestyle from the rest of us. He is said to be the dirtiest man on earth. No, this isn't any animal from Hollywood. He's a genuine man who hasn't washed for a long time, specifically 60 years. He is 80 years old and lives a very modest life. He lives in a little town in Iran and opts for a gravel pit to rest. An open block shack is additionally worked by the individuals who felt frustrated about him, so he can avoid the harshness of the climate. He is also known to smoke around 100 cigarettes a day, while his most prized possession is a pipe that he used for smoking various other substances, which included animal feces too. Some say the reason behind him not showering for almost 60 years was some childhood emotional trauma that he doesn't talk about. There is still no confirmed answer as to why he opted for this lifestyle, yet this unsolved mystery is still very interesting to everyone around the world. Number 2. Woman with zero fat. This 31-year-old woman from Austin, Texas, hasn't let her rare disease get the best of her. Lizzie was born with a rare syndrome called marfanoid progenoid lipodystrophy. This condition simply means that Lizzie's body can't accumulate fat, making it impossible for her to gain weight. In fact, she only weighed 64 pounds at her heaviest. Lizzie has almost 0% body fat, even though she consumes 5,000 to 800 calories per day. She's also blind by her right eye and can't see well by the other one too, but that hasn't stopped her from seeing the beauty of life. As you can imagine, Lizzie has been bullied throughout her life due to her appearance, and people were insensitive enough to even call her the ugliest woman on earth. But the bullying didn't stop this amazing woman from becoming a very successful motivational speaker and author of several books. She also has a YouTube channel that has received 70 million views to date. Isn't that amazing? Number 1. Real-life Popeye. Jeff Dabe is a real-life Popeye with 19-inch forearms. Was born in 1963, a happy, healthy little boy. Doctors couldn't find a single condition that could explain what would soon become increasingly clear. Dabe is a real-life Popeye. That little boy was born with unusually large hands that kept growing with him, although there is no scientific explanation for them. Dabe has never really seen his unusual arms as a burden, and why should he? The remarkable limbs made joining the arm wrestling team in high school a breeze. In high school, he competitively arm wrestled, but after an injury was forced to quit. Dabe's forearms have a 19-inch circumference, and each hand can hold an entire basketball. Now at age 52, Jeff has decided to get back into arm wrestling and fulfill his dreams. Instead of competing with his injured right hand, he now just uses his left. Which one of these people did you find the most fascinating? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.